At the opening of the recent Istanbul Biennale, at the edges of a small project I was running there, a group of us is having coffee and discussing a possible future project. Those of you who go to Biennales know that that's the main activity of Biennales. You sit around and discuss future projects. It's a frustrating conversation because it is virtually impossible for us to meet anywhere in the region which has brought us together in the first place. We come from several different countries in the Middle East, we work together in numerous institutions in Europe, but we cannot meet in the region. There are so many politically and ethnically imposed travel restrictions that our project seems undoable. Then Christine from Beirut says, wait, we can meet in Amman. There's no one from Jordan amongst us. There's no Jordanian institution that has expressed any interest in us or our ideas. To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure any of us is that interested in Jordan per se. But we need in some way to exhaust the belligerent geography of our region, and this seems a way. The entire terrain of this conflict-riddled region is sustained by the tensions of unbreachable borders, politically driven restrictions, and the willingness to uphold divisions born of enmity. Our little gathering over coffee in Istanbul is in itself a relational geography, a way of bringing located cultures into unimaginable contact with one another, a move from binary oppositions to fragmented identifications, affected through a dispersal of that which sustains enmity. The exhaustion of which I speak here has little to do with personal fatigue. I should say at the outset that being tired, being spent, being unable to resist the pressures to do more and more speaking, more lecturing, more teaching, more writing, more traveling, more curating, more protesting, more criticizing, is not really my concern here. I agree in principle with Jan Vervoort's premise in his recent exhibition, Exhaustion and Exuberance, that the hyperactive lives that characterize our contemporary art world are a function of the shift to an immaterial mode of labor, in which this is undoubtedly an important economy to resist. But I would wish my exhaustion to be more than a mode of resistance. I would wish it to be more generative, to be the site of a paradigm shift rather than a corrective. And so I've been thinking of exhaustion in relation to political conflict, not a mode of opting out and withdrawing, but as one of recognizing the limits of a logic that has dominated that conflict for most of its duration. I suspect that this will take the form of an act of treason, in Deleuze's sense of treachery, a refusal to support and sustain that which demands it of you because it claims to support and sustain you. For in the realm of living out long-term political conflict, treason and exhaustion are not unrelated to one another. Conflict requires energy, resources, enthusiasm, or fatalistic resignation. It demands clear-cut positions, which in turn demand to be defended at all costs. In situations of ongoing conflict, in those places and spaces in which it has been going on for what seems like an eternity, a certain moment of recognition invariably comes in which all of the efforts and sacrifices, the losses, the injustices, the oppressions that have been perpetuated and endured suddenly seem to be propagating the very thing that they seemingly attempt to resolve. This is the instance of treason, the moment in which one refuses to read the scenario in the terms that it has set up for itself, and reveal it to be the mechanism of its own perpetuation. When one is deeply in the grip of a narrative, every detail of it assumes great meaning. But when its right to grip you is questioned, these twists and turns that have sutured us in as complicit participants are revealed to be preoccupied with little more than their own legitimation. And so the minute internal differences of this minister saying this and the other saying the opposite, of successive prime ministers and presidents offering plans and roadmaps and revised borders, of political prisoners being released on the back of one political incentive only to be re-imprisoned or assassinated as part of the next wave of retaliations or of shifts towards an increasingly hardline tactic. All of these stage themselves as earth-shaking developments within the inner workings of a logic that is closed in on itself, as all such logics are. The exhausted geographies of which I speak are the material manifestations of what I'm trying to describe, territorialities and territorial claims that cannot sustain themselves. In inhabiting the long-term and chronically unresolved political conflicts, such as the one that has been going on between Israel and Palestine for some 60 years, but obviously this is not the only one, we come to moments of total exhaustion. This sense of exhaustion derives from spent energies, disappointed good intentions, numerous conflict-related deprivations on all sides, the utilization of bankrupt models of political analysis, the inability to foresee a constructive future strategy, and numerous other dimensions of living out a long-term conflict. I'm thinking of the time and energy spent in being critical, in resisting, of the construction of great projects of critical theory and the deconstruction of the dominant ideology, of the writing and teaching and protesting and having arguments, angry arguments over family dinners, of saying or thinking without saying that I never again want to have to spend an evening with someone who does not share the belief that the occupation of Palestine is the degree zero, the foundational cause, the absolute limit state of everything that has gone so wrong in our Middle East. Among the friends who belong to the community of the critical, sometimes these moments of exhausted recognition can be seen as a turn to cynicism, an opting out, a withdrawal, a turning inwards. But that seems to me to be saying that there is no other way of living out political conflict, but in energetic engagement with it on its own terms.